The champagne toast was supposed to be about love and commitment and happily ever after. Instead, my mother decided it was the perfect moment to highlight my failures. To my beautiful daughter Jessica and her wonderful husband Ryan, Mom said, her voice carrying across the Crystal Gardens ballroom. You two are perfect together. Successful careers, beautiful home, and now this gorgeous wedding. You've both worked so hard to build the life you deserve. I sat at table 7, nursing my second glass of champagne and wondering how much longer until I could politely leave. Jessica's wedding was everything she'd dreamed of. 300 guests, a Vera Wang gown, roses imported from Ecuador. She'd planned every detail for 18 months and it showed. And of course, Mom continued, I'm so grateful to see at least one of my daughters settled and happy. My stomach clenched. She wouldn't. My other daughter, Cara, well. Mom's laugh was light and dismissive. She's still looking. Still figuring things out. 29 and married to her work, as they say. But maybe someday you'll find someone, sweetheart. The room tittered with polite laughter. Jessica covered her mouth, her shoulders shaking with giggles. Ryan patted her hand indulgently. My father shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. Maybe you can catch the bouquet later, Mom added with a wink. Third time's the charm. More laughter. I forced a smile and raised my glass along with everyone else, pretending the words hadn't landed like slaps. This wasn't new. 4 or 5 years since Jessica had started dating Ryan, I'd been the cautionary tale. The sister who'd chosen wrong. Who'd prioritized her career over finding a husband. Who was, at the advanced age of 29, still tragically single. Never mind that I'd spent those 5 years building something. Never mind the 80-hour weeks, the sacrifices, the risks that kept me up at night. None of that mattered because I didn't have a ring and a wedding date. You know, Mom doesn't mean it harshly, my Aunt Carol said from across the table. She'd been assigned to keep me company, the single aunt babysitting the single niece. She just wants you to be happy like Jessica. I am happy, I said quietly. Of course, dear. But you know what she means. A career is nice, but it can't keep you warm at night. Carol patted my hand. What is it you do again? Something with computers. Renewable energy, I corrected for the 1000th time. I'm a founder and CEO of SolarNova. We develop next-generation solar technology. Oh, how nice. Like solar panels? My neighbor has those. Very trendy. I didn't bother explaining that we just secured patents on technology that could triple solar efficiency at half the cost. That we had contracts with governments across 3 continents. That 6 months ago, we'd closed a Series C funding round that valued the company at $800 million. Why would I? They'd never asked for details before. My phone buzzed. A text from my Sue. It's live. Forbes just dropped the list. My heart rate kicked up. We'd known it was coming. I'd done the interview 6 weeks ago, sat for the photos, signed all the releases. But Forbes had been cagey about exactly when the 30 under 30 list would publish. Apparently the answer was right now. During my sister's wedding reception. During the toast where my mother had just announced to 300 people that I was still looking and married to my work. I opened the Forbes app with shaking hands. There was the 2025 Forbes 30 under 30 list. Energy category. And there was my name, Cara Mitchell, 29, founder and CEO SolarNova Technologies. The photo they'd chosen showed me in the lab, examining one of our prototype panels. Professional but approachable. The caption read, Mitchell's revolutionary approach to photovoltaic efficiency is poised to transform the renewable energy landscape. Her company has already prevented an estimated 2.3 million tons of carbon emissions and counting. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the profile. They'd included the funding numbers, the valuation, the fact that SolarNova had gone from 3 people in a garage to 240 employees in 4 years, the partnerships with major utilities and government agencies. And at the bottom, the detail that made my breath catch. Mitchell owns 34% of SolarNova, giving her a personal net worth estimated at $272 million. Cara. Carol was looking at me with concern. Are you all right? You've gone very pale. Before I could answer, my phone started ringing. Then buzzing with texts. Then notifications started flooding in, email, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. The Forbes announcement was spreading. At the head table, Jessica was cutting the cake with Ryan, both of them laughing for the photographer. Mom stood nearby, beaming with pride. Dad made small talk with Ryan's parents. Nobody was looking at their phones. Nobody had any idea what had just been announced to the world. Ladies and gentlemen, the DJ's voice cut through the chatter. We have a very special surprise for the evening. It seems we have a celebrity in our midst. My stomach dropped. Oh, how did he? The Forbes 30 under 30 list just dropped. The DJ continued with enthusiasm, and we've got someone from that list right here at this wedding. Kara Mitchell, where are you? Every head in the ballroom turned. My face burned as I slowly raised my hand. Come on up here, the DJ waved enthusiastically. This is huge. Forbes 30 under 30. I walked to the front on unsteady legs. Jessica's smile had frozen. Mom looked confused. Ryan's father, a venture capitalist who I'd deliberately avoided all weekend, had his phone out, clearly pulling up the article. The DJ thrust his microphone at me. So Kara, congrats. Can you tell everyone what Forbes said? I'd really rather not interrupt Jessica's. No, this is amazing. He was reading from his own phone now. SolarNova Technologies says here you're revolutionizing renewable energy. That's incredible. What does that mean exactly? The ballroom had gone silent. 300 people waiting for an answer. We've developed a new approach to solar panel efficiency, I said carefully. It allows panels to capture significantly more energy at a lower production cost. We're working with utilities and governments to make renewable energy more accessible. And you started this company? You're the CEO? The DJ was genuinely impressed. Yes. 4 years ago. Ryan's father had stood up, his expression intense. David Chin, he called out. Chin Ventures. We looked at your Series B but moved too slow. Heard Sequoia got in instead. I nodded. They led the round. What was your final valuation on Series C? He was walking toward the front now, all pretense of social etiquette abandoned. 800 million, I said quietly. The gasps were audible. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, soaking her dress. Jessica had gone white. And you retained what, 30%? David pressed. 34. He let out a low whistle. Smart. That puts you at. Forbes estimates 272 million personal net worth, I finished. But that's paper value. It's not liquid and valuations are volatile, so. Holy hell, someone in the crowd muttered. Ryan's uncle stood up. I vaguely remembered him being introduced as a hedge fund manager. You're taking it public? We're considering several options. IPO, strategic acquisition, or remaining private with additional funding rounds. We haven't decided yet. I'd love to discuss. Kara, Mom's voice cut through, shrill and desperate. Why didn't you tell us? I turned to look at her. Her dress was still dripping champagne. Her carefully applied makeup was smudged. Tell you what, Mom? About all this. The Forbes list. The company. The money. I did tell you, I said evenly. 2 years ago at Christmas I explained about the series of funding. You asked if I was still playing with solar panels and changed the subject to Jessica's engagement. Last Thanksgiving I mentioned we'd just signed a contract with the Department of Energy. You said it was nice and asked when I was going to settle down. But you never said it was this serious. I tried. I could feel the anger rising now, 5 years of dismissed conversations bubbling up. Every time I tried to talk about my work you redirected. Jessica's wedding planning. Jessica's new house. Jessica's promotion. It was always about Jessica because she had what you considered success. A relationship, a ring, a traditional path. Jessica had tears streaming down her face. Kara, I didn't know. You didn't want to know, I said not unkindly. Both of you. You decided that being single at 29 meant I was failing. That working 80-hour weeks meant I was avoiding real life. You never asked what I was actually building. Ryan's father was still standing, his phone in hand. The Forbes article mentions you're speaking at the Global Energy Summit next month. And advising the UN on sustainable development goals. Yes. And you have contracts with, 17 countries? 22 as of last week. He shook his head in disbelief. And you've been sitting at table 7 all night? Family seating, I said with a tight smile. Didn't want to disrupt the carefully arranged dynamics. Jessica found her voice. Care, please. I'm sorry. We're sorry. I didn't understand. What you didn't understand, I interrupted gently, is that success looks different for different people. You found yours with Ryan, with your wedding, with the life you're building. That's beautiful. That's real. But my success looks different. It looks like solar panels and efficiency curves and carbon offset calculations. It looks like 80-hour weeks and late-night calls with engineers and negotiations with government officials. I looked at Mom. You said I'm married to my work like it's a consolation prize. Like it's what I settled for because I couldn't find someone. But Mom, I chose this. I chose to build something meaningful over building a wedding registry. And that choice doesn't make me less successful or less fulfilled. It makes me different. The ballroom remained silent. The DJ had turned off his microphone. The Forbes recognition is incredible, I continued. But it doesn't validate my work any more than your wedding validates your relationship, Jessica. The work was always valid. The company was always real. You just needed Forbes to tell you it mattered before you believed it. David Chin approached, business card already out. Kara, I mean this professionally and personally, we need to talk. What you've built is extraordinary. And I apologize for not recognizing it sooner. Other people were standing now. Approaching with cards, with questions, with sudden burning interest in renewable energy. The single niece at table 7 had become the most important person in the room, and they were all recalibrating. My phone buzzed again. My board chair. CNN wants you for an interview tomorrow morning. Can you fly to New York tonight? Another text from my COO. Reuters, Bloomberg, and the Wall Street Journal have all requested comments. PR team is completely overwhelmed. This is bigger than we anticipated. And one from my VP of Operations. The Forbes announcement broke our website. Traffic up 40,000%. Investor inquiries flooding in. I've never seen anything like this. Kara, Jessica approached, her veil slightly askew, mascara running. I've ruined my own wedding, haven't I? No, I said honestly. You had a beautiful ceremony. A perfect reception. This is just unexpected timing. Mom's toast. Was Mom being Mom? I've made peace with it. I should have asked more about your work. Should have cared more. You're my sister and I treated your career like a hobby. I softened. Jess, you were planning a wedding. You were allowed to be focused on that. But yes, going forward, maybe we can both make more effort to understand each other's lives. She hugged me, still crying. I'm proud of you. I should have said that more. I should have said it at all. Ryan joined us, looking shell-shocked. For what it's worth, I had no idea we had an energy innovation genius in the family. Dad won't shut up about your technology. He's already texting his contacts. Great, I said dryly. Just what I need, more venture capitalists at my sister's wedding. Mom approached last, her champagne-soaked dress forgotten. Kara, sweetheart, her voice broke. I've been terrible. The toast, all those comments about finding someone, acting like your life was incomplete. Mom. No, let me finish. Thought I was helping. I thought I was nudging you toward happiness. But I was really just pushing my vision of happiness onto you. And in the process, I completely missed that you'd already found yours. She pulled me into a hug, and despite everything, I hugged back. $272 million, she whispered. My baby is worth $272 million. That's not what matters, Mom. I know. Vera Forbes. Then. 22 countries? How did I miss all of this? You were looking in the wrong direction, I said simply. You were so focused on what I didn't have that you missed everything I did. The reception eventually resumed, though the energy had fundamentally shifted. Jessica and Ryan's first dance was beautiful, but half the guests were still on their phones, reading the Forbes article, sharing it on social media, sending it to their networks. Table 7, where the single unsuccessful sister had been stashed, became a pilgrimage site. People I'd never met came by to introduce themselves, to ask questions, to pitch investments or partnerships, or just to say they'd met me. Carol, my babysitting aunt, looked dazed. You know, she said, when I asked what you did with computers, I thought you meant like IT support or something. I gathered that, I said with a smile. Solar technology that's going to change the world. And I talked to you about my neighbor's panels. She laughed, slightly hysterical. I'm an idiot. You're not. You just didn't have the context. But that was the thing, wasn't it? None of them had context because none of them had asked for it. They'd filled in the blanks with their own assumptions. Unsuccessful, single, still figuring it out, and never bothered to check if those assumptions were true. At midnight, as the reception wound down, I finally escaped to the terrace for some air. The Forbes article had been shared over 200,000 times. My LinkedIn had gained 40,000 new followers. Interview requests were stacked up in my inbox like kindling. Tomorrow I'd fly to New York for CNN. Next week, the Global Energy Summit. The month after that, the UN presentation. My quiet work, the thing I'd been building in the shadows while my family worried about my love life, had exploded into the public eye. And somewhere in that ballroom, my mother was telling anyone who would listen about her brilliant daughter, the CEO. My sister was showing people the Forbes article on her phone. My father was boring Ryan's relatives with details about Solaranova that he'd clearly just learned. They'd come around. They'd adjust. Eventually, this would become family lore. The wedding where they realized Kara wasn't actually failing, she was just succeeding differently. But I knew the truth they'd never quite grasp. The Forbes recognition was nice. The validation was satisfying. But I'd already been successful before they noticed. The work was always the point. The impact was always real. Their recognition, or lack of it, had never changed that. My phone buzzed one more time. A text from Jessica. Thank you for not leaving. I know you wanted to. You're a better person than I deserve. Love you, little sis. I smiled and typed back. Love you too. Enjoy your honeymoon. And hey, maybe I'll catch the bouquet at your next event. Third time's the charm, right? Her response was immediate. Shut up. You're buying us a house with your millions. Not how net worth works. But I'll explain it when you're back. Enjoy Ryan. Enjoy married life. I'll enjoy revolutionizing renewable energy. Deal. But Kara? Yeah. Mom was wrong. You weren't still looking. You were already there. We just couldn't see it. I pocketed my phone and looked up at the stars, thinking about solar panels and efficiency curves and the 22 countries waiting for our technology. Still looking, they'd said. But I'd already found everything I was searching for.